today's semifinal round as the Illinois State Redbirds face the Northern Iowa Panthers. And to illustrate where we stand at this point, let's go right to the bracket. Following a pair of upsets on Friday, each of the higher seeds were victorious in yesterday's quarterfinal round, producing what should be a very competitive and balanced semifinal pairing today. In our first game, you see number 1 Illinois State taking on number 4 Northern Iowa. And then to finish things up later on this afternoon, 2 goes against 3 as Bradley faces Southwest Missouri State. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm Steve Schlanger, and welcome to our Diet Pepsi Missouri Valley Conference studios here at the Kiel Center. Well, after 6 games in a little more than 24 hours, the MVC Tourney Field has been whittled to the final 4 teams. And in our first game this afternoon, the regular season conference champion Illinois State Redbirds meet number 4 Northern Iowa with the chance to play on Monday night in the MVC title game, awaiting the winner. And to call the action, we send you out to the now familiar duo of Mitch Holtis and Jim Gibbons. Mitch.
Thanks, Steve. And this game probably personifies Arch Madness. How do you figure that Illinois State wins 22 games but can't figure out Northern Iowa? Jim, the question that's big here is Northern Iowa has Illinois State's number.
Well, the Redbirds have only lost 5 games all year, 4 of them in the conference, Mitch, and 2 of them happen to be the Northern Iowa. And you say, why? Well, I'm going to say, both teams have terrific benches, and Northern has gotten the better of it. 16-10 at normal and 22-7 at the Unidome. And how did they do it? They smash you with 6 people inside. That's what Northern does. And the Redbirds cannot afford to have Watkins and Hill get in foul trouble.
What's interesting here, both teams really have the same point of emphasis in this game.
Well, I want to tell you, Northern's going to live on dribble penetration. They pound that ball down your throat, and you know Jamar Smiley is going to try to do the same thing for the Redbirds.
Both these teams have great records. Northern Iowa 16 wins, their most in a long time. Illinois State at 22. Both have marquee players.
Well, they do have, and we've got one, Jason Daly, who is the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year right there. Eldon Miller said he's one of the 2 best guards he has ever coached. He has a nice jumper outside, Mitch. He has great foot speed. He's got a tremendous first step. He is a slasher and a driver and a finisher. Now, Rico Hill, he can post up inside, and not one man is going to guard him. He's got a great big body, great steps, and he's got quickness. So now, if they guard him and double team him, he moves outside, hits that 15-foot jumper. They're comparing him in normal to Mark Aguirre, who played for DePaul, and that's pretty good.
Let's check out now your Vandekamp frozen food keys to the game.
Well, we're going to look for Northern Iowa right now. The Panthers have got to contain Rico Hill as best they can. They don't want him to have a big day scoring and rebounding. Now, Jamar Smiley at his best when he's penetrating and dishing to the inside people or the three-point shooters. They have got to stop him, Mitch. Now, for Illinois State, one of Northern's big strengths is dribble penetration, and the Redbirds have to contain it without fouling and putting Northern on the line. And secondly, the Panthers are aggressive, and they play to attack. Hill and Watkins, as I said, have got to stay out of foul trouble.
Jason Daisy had his career-high 37 against Illinois State earlier this year. So who has to guard him? The 2-time Defensive Player of the Year in the league, Dan Muller of Illinois State. We'll have the lineup right after this. Bud Light for Northern Iowa, Darren DeVries back in the starting lineup after the tragedy he had to go through. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Jason Daisy in the backcourt, Hawkins, Tying, and Jenkins. 3 of the 6 that they will throw inside at Illinois State today. Now for the Redbirds of Illinois State, Rico Hill, outstanding sophomore, along with Leroy Watkins in the front line. Dan Muller talked about his defensive prowess. He can also shoot it from time to time. Shafar, an outstanding three-point shooter, and Jamar Smiley, one of the nation's leader in assists at the lead guard position for Illinois State. Eldon Miller, Jim Gibbons, in his 34th year. In great company, 558 wins, 154 of those at Northern Iowa, and he's having probably as much fun now as he's ever had.
You bet he is. He said this is the kind of thing that basketball is all about. One comment about Kevin Stallings. You led me right into a good segue. He said the point totals go down, the shooting goes down, and the defense gets better in tournament play. And he also said that big-time players make big-time plays to win games. So let's see what happens, because we've got a couple of marquee players right here.
Darren DeVries, and Northern Iowa has the tap. Darren DeVries this week has been very trying for him. His roommate was found drowned in a car accident near the Cedar Falls campus. They were searching for his roommate for several days. He was one of the guys leading the search as he misses the 3. And Jim, His roommate, his funeral was yesterday, or actually 2 days ago, Friday, came in here, played yesterday after going to the funeral. He has gone through a lot.
Oh, he has. And I was at the press conference yesterday when he talked about it. One of the more emotional things that I've been involved in, because he said the young man had planned on coming to this tournament. The interesting match, Schaefbauer, Skip Schaefbauer on Jason Daisy.
DeVries misses the first 2 shots of the game, and our camera guy gets a little piece of Sean Hawkins.
Let's take a look at Rico. See Rico Hill coming outside.
They wanted Watkins inside, but a turnover by Illinois State. It's Daisy, the player of the year, Hying, trying to get the offensive board, and Northern Iowa will keep.
There's a guy that's been in and out of that starting lineup, and I'm talking about Brian Hying. But boy, did he have a game yesterday, and he has really been effective lately for them, and he's a very good board person.
Eric Harmon.
Sorry, but Jason Daisy, when he took that dribble right there, as soon as he started to go toward the side, Dan Mauer left his man. They're going to run right at him, I'll guarantee you, in double. They're not going to let that guy beat them. Somebody else is going to have to beat them.
DeVries early shooting the basketball. Missed his first 2, but Darren DeVries nails that one from the corner. Smiley quickly at the other end. Shot blocked by Sean Hawkins, his 30th block of the season. Hawkins is 5th in the league in block shots and sent that one back out.
Man-to-man defense for Northern.
Leroy Watkins, maybe one of the most improved players in the league, but this time Northern Iowa surrounds him.
Boy, they're doing a good job inside so far. And you notice Rico Hill, the last 2 possessions, has not even been inside, Mitch. He's been out at the top of the key.
It's going to be an illegal screen.
And maybe not a bad move by Kevin Stallings, because he probably figures that Northern hasn't got someone that's going to be able to come out to the top of that key and guard Rico Hill one-on-one, because I said that's a tough matchup.
Kevin Stallings, the coach at Illinois State. 3 years ago, 20-13. Last year, 22-12. This year, 22-5. He has never played or coached on a losing team in his life.
Well, he's got a pretty good background. You've seen Katie and Roy Williams, I'll tell you. That's not bad for starters.
This has to be a thrill for him. He grew up in Collinsville, not far away. Muller for 3. The Birds have the lead.
Boy, simple double screen right in front, but I was surprised because nobody from Northern tried to fight their way through it. They just kind of let Dan stand out there, and he had a wide open look at the basket.
38-3 of the year for Muller. And now a blocking foul will be called on Illinois State.
Interesting, isn't it going to be? Because I'm anxious to see how this game is going to be called, Mitch, because I suspected, I said to you beforehand, this could tend to be a very, very physical game. Neither one of these are going to back away. Now, the first game is normal. Go ahead.
Daisy trying to elevate the shot blocked, but out of bounds. Ooh, they're going to say, now it's go to Northern Iowa.
The one thing that Kevin Stallings was the unhappiest about was that Northern got Illinois State back on its heels by being so aggressive and so physical. When that happens, sometimes you stand around and watch other teams play. You can't let that happen.
Corey Jenkins, good-looking freshman from Rock Island, Illinois. 2 minutes into the game, the Birds lead by 1. It's going to be a bumping foul on Jamar Smiley of Illinois State. Foul on Smiley is his initial foul. 2 team fouls on the Redbirds. Last year, Illinois State set a school record for field goal percentage defense. This year, they broke the record they set a year ago. How good's their half-court
Their
defense?
best field goal defense was in 1972-73 at 42%. They're up in your numbers. They know how to play defense. That isn't by accident. The defense, as I said yesterday, Mitch, is more hard work than talent. You just have to stick with it.
Easy. Guns the shot over the top of Schaefbauer.
You talk about getting off a shot with a guy right in your numbers, wasn't he, Mitch?
That's where Jason Daly just rises up over the top of the player. Now, Schaefbauer likes threes. Muller works hard inside, but it's chased down by Daisy. DeVries without rebounder. It'll be out of bounds for Illinois State. What about Jason Daisy elevating his shot over Schaefbauer?
I tell you, and watch, after he took that shot, watch the defense now. You cannot play defense much better than that. He just didn't get the hand up, but after he made that shot, Daisy slapped at Schaefbauer because he was right in his numbers and so aggressive on defense.
Jim, I want to ask you about this. Daisy is guarding Smiley at the bottom of the screen.
Just what I was going to say, and that's what amazes me about that guy. And Eldon Miller told me during the course of the year the thing that he's happy with, and obviously he's going to take those points, but you can't win without him. But he said the thing that Jason has done that's elevated him to this level is that his defense has become spectacular. And he's guarding Jemai Smiley, and he's up in his now. You expend all that energy on defense, Mitch, and you think it would take something out of his legs when he's shooting on the offensive end.
We haven't seen any signs
Oh,
of
that's
that
a
yet.
push-off.
Oh, and
That's a
DeVries
good
has
call.
his second
That
foul.
was a good call by Eric Harmon.
Darren DeVries has his second personal foul, Jim. Both have been offensive fouls.
And that's what happens, you know, when you get people. Now, this is you've got this replay, you've got it watched. There it is right there. There isn't any question about it at all. I don't know why Darren was surprised, but it was Eric, and Eric Harmon was right on top of the play. You know, that's the one thing you have to be careful of when people are getting in your numbers defensively. What they tend to do, Mitch, is it forces you out of your comfort zone. You move out further on the floor, and it takes you out of the rhythm of your offense.
Terry Kress in for Northern Iowa at the point guard. Rico Hill spotting up from 17 feet, and the rebound goes to Northern
There's
Iowa.
a young man that's going to be a terrific basketball player in this conference. You and I watched him yesterday, Terry Kress. He's a freshman. He can not only guide the attack, but I want to tell you, I watched him play defense. He can defend.
Illinois State is in a box and one here, Jim, with Schaefbauer guarding Jason Davis.
That's what I was going to say to you. I was watching the last couple of times down. Now you can see it. Now you can see it. They're letting people go through, but they're chasing Muller is right now. They're chasing Daisy everywhere he goes, and see if they double up on him right now when he goes to the bucket. See that? Watkins came right over and put the double on him.
And the shot clock just went off as the ball went out of bounds. Here, they're going to say a shot clock violation. Illinois State will have it when we return after the break as Northern Iowa leads by a digit. Northern Iowa leads here early 4-3. 4 minutes into the game. Jason Daisy got doubled up here.
Watch this now. There's the box and one. Now he turned his back, and when he comes back again, now watch the defense. Watch Watkins come right over there. That's what they're going to do. Is especially Jason's got to remember, don't turn your back, because when you turn your back, you're giving that defense to come in a chance. Now the other thing that he got himself trapped on the baseline, which means you've got the 3 defenders, right?
What about the box and one? Illinois State now is box and wanting him to deny it, but when he gets it, they're doubling people on him. What about that?
Absolutely. He's just going to have to start to get rid of the basketball. I'm sure he doesn't want to do that, but he's going to have to because they've got the numbers.
Schaefbauer, there's a foul away from the ball. It's going to go on Illinois State.
You get the impression they're going to call this game pretty close?
They have so far.
One team shooting 29%, the other shooting 20%. And I want to tell you something. The best offense for both teams may be the ability right now to keep that ball alive and go to the offensive boards. Both teams better block out because neither one's shooting well right now. They're uptight, I know, and it goes back to what we said, that the shooting percentages and the scores go down when you get to this level. You're fighting to get into the championship game tomorrow night.
The other thing is these two teams are good in the half court defensively, and your first shot may not be the best shot you get in the possession.
Very good, Mitch. You're absolutely right.
This time, the help was late for Illinois State, but Kress beat him on the dribble.
Take a look. Now, he got the first step on him, on Smiley. He came over, but the wrong angle, and that's a very, very good call. Watkins had the right idea, but a step too late.
Foul on Watkins, his first. 14 foul on the Redbirds at 15-19 remaining in the first half. When DeVries has been in foul trouble, Kress has averaged 11 minutes, 30 seconds in 2 previous games against the Redbirds, averaging 4 points, assist, and a steal. Kress has to do it now with DeVries in trouble.
Muller back on Daisy. Passing people through. They're still in box and one.
Out missed in the rebound to Rico Hill, the 4th leading rebound in the Missouri Valley Conference, and the outlet deflected.
I just want our viewers to watch now, because in Northern Iowa, their guards have got the freedom to exhaust every dribble move possible to create a driving opportunity for a shot for themselves or someone else.
Smiley, great penetration and a foul on Daisy, shoving Skip Schaefbauer into the row of photographers. Daisy's first foul, 13 foul in Northern Iowa. This might be a war of attrition here with all these fouls.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with the intensity level, neither shooting, but you know what? I give credit to the defense, Mitch, because both of these teams are playing, I think, wonderful, wonderful defense.
Rico Hill yet to score. He's turned into a scorer. 37 against Southwest Missouri State, 32 against Southern Illinois.
Rob Gibbons into the game. Didn't play a second yesterday. Interesting. Northern's still in that man-to-man, but boy, are they helping and recovering. That's a man you don't want to leave open.
Oops. Muller, his second three of the first half.
Yeah.
He had 5 in 1/2, Jim, against Southern Illinois early this year.
Tony Bruce, my boy, is in the game. There's a guy. He's going to play on your all-Marine team, I want to tell you that.
He got a chance. He didn't make it this year, but a leading candidate next year in a blocking foul on the Redbirds.
You're right, boy. I tell you, we said in the stand-up that both teams had pretty deep benches, and the way they're calling them right now, they may be putting a lot of people in off of those benches. And another good call, I think. Watch the defense now. See, he got the first step on him. Everybody's coming over to help out, Mitch, but they've got the wrong angle. You know, there's Rob Gibbons. He should have stepped right into his direction. You go to a spot on the floor. You don't go to the player. You go to a spot on the floor.
And there's your dribble penetration you were alluding to on the keys.
Oh,
nice shot by Daisy.
He has made 2 baskets that have been positively spectacular with people right in his numbers.
And he had 37, his career high, and a great career against the Redbirds in the Unidome in Cedar Falls earlier this year.
I'll tell you one thing. Illinois State's not getting much out of their offense because Northern's not letting them, and they're only getting 1 shot at the basket, and it's been 1 and out.
And Illinois State's been doing the same thing to Northern for the most part.
Neither team in a flow offensively. A little harder for Northern to get in it because they're in the box and 1.
Bruce with 14 to shoot. The Redbirds had him surrounded. Had Burdine in jail. Threw away the key and picked up the ball.
See, that box and 1's taking that dribble penetration away, Mitch, and that's one reason. There are a lot of reasons you zone, but I'll tell you, one of the reasons is because if you can take that dribble penetration away, you're going to take the blood right out of them, you know. And if they can't do that, then they just kind of tend to stand around, which is what a lot of teams do against zones. Then they can't get it to their guy because Daisy's got the ball's got to go through him on every possession, but now they're not giving him a chance to have that happen.
Rico Hill off balance, tipped out, but picked up by Daisy. In the open floor, loses his footing, finds Burt Lappy trailing.
Boy, that's good effort by the freshman Lappy.
Fresh short on the 3.
And that's good effort right there by the freshman Lappy. That's one of my guys in the future right there. That guy is going to be a great basketball player.
Burdine with the miss, and impressed with the easy 2. And that has to just burn up Coach Kevin Stoley.
Yeah, and he's burning up, and he's got somebody coming right off the bench right now. He's got Pearson coming in because somebody didn't box out. Whoa!
Rob Gibbons with the shot. He wanted a 3. Rob Gibbons hasn't hit a 3 all year, but he got a 2, and the game is tied 8-8.
All year. His second 3 of the year.
Rob Gibbons with a bucket for the Redbirds. A foul. It's on Kyle Cartmill of Illinois State. And folks, there have been 6 fouls called on Illinois State already. There have been 4 fouls called on Northern Iowa. 10 team fouls, and we played 7.5 minutes.
If Northern goes to a big lineup, then Tony Bruce comes out. When they go to a smaller lineup, which they've got now, look at, they've got Press in there, and they've got Bruce in there, and they've got Daisy in there, so they've got the smaller lineup in there, right, Mitch?
Absolutely.
Huh? And that guy is absolutely fearless. I say it every broadcast. He just flat out plays. And, boy, he's got such a great body, and he plays with such tremendous confidence.
Burt Lappy will throw it in for Northern Iowa. 12.5 minutes remaining in the first half. The game tied at 8.
Nice defense. Nice defense. There's bad move by Tony Bruce. This could be dribbled right into 2 people, right?
Pearson athletic on a team of athletes.
And it's funny, Rico Hill is not even in the basketball game. Can you believe it?
Sure.
Look at this.
Gibbons. And he's drawn a foul underneath on the Panthers.
Boy, I'll tell you, if they get a game out of Rob Gibbons, there's a guy that didn't get in. He's been up and down the last couple of years, but boy, if they get something out of him, just like Cartmill yesterday, tell about it, Mitch. How many did he get in the first half?
He had 13.
Yeah, 13 off of the bench. Schaefbauer was struggling. Cartmill comes in, winds up with 13 points at halftime. He doesn't get anything in the second half. Skip Schaefbauer comes in, lights it up. If Gibbons can do that with Hill on the bench, boy, that's where we set 2 of the better benches in the league, but Northern has gotten the better of them in the 2 games that they've played.
And, Jim, let me throw something out at you. When Rob Gibbons scores just 5 points or more, Illinois State is undefeated at 7-0.
Wow.
And
There's
he's
what
already
they
got
do
3.
best. Nobody in the country probably does that any better than Illinois State.
I'll give
They
you another
get
one.
more kickouts on missed free throws than anybody you'll ever see.
There's only one other team that maybe is good, and that's Kansas. And that's where Kevin Stallings
Well,
learned it.
you're right. I wouldn't know that, but I know you hung around those people for a long time, and it is interesting. And I can't believe that when you're scouting a team like that and you know that they do that you don't get your people inside to squeeze them and box them and get into their bodies. But somehow Illinois State continues to do that.
You know, the other thing is your second-line rebounders have to be ready. A reminder that this telecast is authorized under the rights granted by the Missouri Valley Conference. It's not intended for the commercial use of our viewing audience. Any reproduction, rebroadcast, retransmission, or other use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Missouri Valley Conference is prohibited. Bruce with the 1-and-1 miss. The foul was on Watkins.
How about that shit, boy? That is great end-to-end action right there. That is terrific. That's pretty good action from end to end there by Cartville, and I told you he had a huge 13 in the first half yesterday. So if he can continue that, boy, that just charges the energy level that, you know, the people on the bench just see that happening, and boy, it just puts some more energy in them.
And Darren DeVries, with his 2 fouls, comes back in. Illinois State has been called for 18 fouls. Jim Worth, the 11:44 mark of the half.
Would you look at the Illinois State bench, which you and I can see right now? Look at the 4 players that are sitting on the bench right there for Illinois State.
Shea Bauer, Hill, Smiley, and Watkins.
Absolutely.
4 starters.
Not 4 of them, not even in the basketball game. They're sitting on the bench.
DeVries knocks down the Charity. He'll get the coupon toss. 6th in the league is DeVries in free throw shooting. DeVries an 81% or even better a year ago. And Rob Gibbons has given Illinois State some bonus points here, and the Redbirds in an intense ball game in the semifinals lead by 1.
Just the way I used to shoot it. Absolutely terrific because he split right through 2 northern defenders, didn't get that player control, didn't get distracted, and he converted. He finished. That is terrific. Nice replay.
Mark that as Exhibit A in our evidence for the Rawlings play of the game. We'll announce it later in today's telecast. Winning shot, a big rebound, key defensive move. We'll show it to you on the Rawlings play of the game.
Look at Mitch. Northern Iowa, 30%. Illinois State, 33%. I said to you before, you better get some kickback, but defensively, you better get into somebody's body and block out.
And right now, the key for both teams to defend without fouling. Shea Bauer, a rare 2-point try. He has 78 threes and 17 twos. Press and DeVries now in there at the same time.
Check the defense now, obviously, because Daisy is sitting on the bench getting some rest time, so they'll just go straight man-to-man now.
Ill-advised pass by DeVries, but he picks it back up.
Watch them close those gaps. They're going to generally, they'll guard and force them into the middle, and then they can get some help there, and they'll close those gaps.
Shot clock, you see, dwindling down at the bottom of the screen. Bruce has to shoot it in a hurry. Delena, he didn't get it off in time. They're going to call the second shot clock violation on Northern Iowa in the first 9 minutes of the game.
Pretty good defense, and I generally feel, and it's not a criticism, that teams just seem to wait a little too long to get into something when that clock is burning down, then you wind up forcing an ill-advised shot.
Foul away from the ball. It's going to go on Illinois State, and the double bonus, well, correction, 19 fouls already in Illinois State.
Both of these teams are very, very aggressive. And as I said to you earlier, the one thing that bothered Illinois State in the first game was that Northern Iowa put them back on their heels and just took them out of their game. Illinois State wasn't about to let that happen, so as a result of it, both teams are playing very aggressive and setting very hard screens and picks, some of them illegal. And these 3 officials, Ed Schumer and Eric Harmon and John Higgins, they're right on top of this because didn't I say to you before the game, there could be a little pushing and shoving before this game is all over, and they're going to make sure it doesn't happen.
Bruce has his first point of the game. He had 6 rebounds at 6 feet tall in the game and normal. Now the teams have to adjust. The officials have done a good job of trying to keep a lid on the physical play.
That's a great statement, because you know what? ill-advised pass right there. It is up to the players to adjust to the officiating. The officials aren't going to adjust. The players better.
Right now, Northern Iowa's defense has been the match for Illinois State.
Absolutely it has. What are they giving up? Their teams are scoring 70 on them and shooting 45 against them. But, boy, they've turned it up a little notch here. You know, sometimes some teams have your number. You know, the last couple of years, Southern Illinois has had the Redbirds number. This year, it happened to be Northern Iowa.
10:25 remains in the half. Northern Iowa with the ball on a one-point lead.
They back in and they switch to defense again, Mitch. Notice.
The pull-up missed by Kraft. Nice board by Leroy Watkins of Illinois State.
Does he have a wide body or what?
Not going to get it from him when he gets his
There's
mitts
the
on.
shot right there. They've got to hit. They get shots like that, Mitch. They've got to hit them, whether it's Leroy or whether it's Rico. They've got to hit those shots.
Serdine with the board. Illinois State forcing Daisy to give it up once again. Hine only had 1 3 yesterday and 5 attempts. But chasing down the ball was Bruce.
Shea Fowler didn't get into his body, and Bruce just out-hustled him and got to that ball.
A 3 on a second shot opportunity for Northern Iowa.
That guy's shooting. Well, he shot 50 three-pointers so far. He's learning. He can shoot and defend, as I said to you, boy. He's not flashy. Iowa City guys.
And Rico Hill has his first bucket of the game.
Finally. Got him into a position down on the block. Didn't force him out high enough. Let him get in too low. And the offensive player is always going to win that battle when you let him have that ball down that low.
First team all-conference Hill is a sophomore.
You watch that zone and you watch Illinois State get out on people. They're back in, defending inside, trying to stop, close the gap. But boy, when the ball goes outside, man alive, do they get outside.
Muller's picked up his second personal foul.
Well, there's the defensive player of the year. The last 2 years, the defensive player of the year. Watch Daisy slip outside. Now, see, Dan, he just let him take that first. What did I say in the stand-up? He has tremendous, I'm talking about Jason Daisy, he has tremendous foot speed, a great first step, and he's a good slasher and driver. Dan didn't guard him very well that time.
How about the matchup, though? The player of the year in the league against the defensive player.
Hadn't even thought about that, Mitch. You're absolutely right.
Days will have 2 shots already. The Panthers are in the double bonus.
You know, I watched the stance that Dan had when he was on him, Mitch, and he had that right leg up, and as soon as Jason took that first big step, he had Dan in a position where he couldn't recover fast enough to beat him to a spot.
Daisy hitting percentage to line. In fact, he hit 11 of 12 against Illinois State. In the game in Cedar Falls, when he had 37 points, but he just split a pair there. Muller good looking to save it off the mark.
Yeah, I tell you, if you remember Illinois State getting a kickback, a second shot,
Not many.
really, I'm not sure they've gotten any.
That's just offensive. An offensive foul on Corey Jenkins. Trying to get position, moving back in on Rico Hill. The foul on Jenkins, his first. The 16th foul on Northern Iowa.
That's a freshman that has a lot of talent, and they're expecting big things from Corey. He's not going to get. He's only taken about 5. That's good defense by Shea Fowler. He knew it right away. Jenkins is only taking about 5 shots a game, so they're not in there to have him scoring. He's got his brother that plays at Southern, as you know, but he's got a ton of athletic ability.
2 of the 6 fouls on Northern Iowa you see have been offensive, while all of the 10 fouls called on Illinois State on the defensive mark. Rico Hill lowers his head, can't get it. Jenkins chasing down the board for Northern Iowa. Lead pass. Daisy tried to go for the lob, and it wasn't there.
The one thing I want our viewers to try to watch, you watch when Illinois State is running that motion passing game, where they're running that offense. Northern has that great ability to be able to bump people and to get in their path when they're trying to get open. And I want our viewers to try to watch that. Somebody will step off somebody and bump that cutter as they're going through, and that's what a lot of good defensive teams do against motion teams. They fall back in and bump the cutters as they're going through.
Eldon Miller's upset. He thought Rico Hill lost the ball out of bounds on his own, but John Higgins is going to say that the ball will remain with Illinois State. 16-13 Northern Iowa.
Neither team's shooting well, Mitch, but I'm going to tell you, they're not shooting well because 2 teams out here are playing pretty doggone good defense.
Shea Fowler.
I mean, you aren't seeing many open shots in this game so far, my friend.
And a rare poor decision by Skip Shea Fowler. He's not been able to get 3s yet, mainly because Daisy's guarding time to time. Nice rebound for Illinois State.
Jamar really trying to push that ball up the floor. There he is, sticking it out.
Miller missing the 3 and Hine on the board.
That boy Hine, I tell you, he can rebound.
Part of the 6 guys that Northern Iowa can throw at the inside. So far, they've had 5 of the 6 in there. Jenkins. Turn around and a bucket. What a shot by Sean Hawkins. Plus, he was fouled by Watkins.
Young man is playing with so much more confidence because now he's looking to shoot and to score. And his shot has improved. And he's cutting back. And you know why his game has improved? Take a look at this shot, and then we'll get into it. There's a guy that was foul prone early. No, that's good extension right there. And good defense with the hand in the face. But there's a guy that was making a whole lot of silly fouls early in the year and wasn't getting any time on the floor as a result of it. Now he's cut back and he's getting a lot of minutes.
Sean Hawkins, the junior from Dalton, Illinois, with a three-point play. And Northern Iowa has a lead of a half dozen here at the Kiel. Northern Iowa leading Illinois State by 6, 19-13, 7:21 remains in the half. And when your plans are for travel, be sure and call the Missouri Valley Conference promotional partner Days Inn. Use the MVC preferred account number and receive a special 10% discount. Hey, check the number at the bottom of the screen for the preferred account number. Days Inn will contribute an additional 10% to the conference and help support Missouri Valley Conference scholarship program. Something to write down for spring break.
Take a look, Mitch. Guess what Illinois State's shooting? 26%, my friend. The free throw line, Northern's got the advantage, 6 of 8. That's the difference in the game right now. Look at the rebounding. There's the rebounding. Unbelievable.
Second chance points for Northern Iowa, 7. And this is a good rebounding and good Illinois State team inside.
Alden Miller said mentally we're okay. The level of our play is going to depend on our rebounding. And he's getting his rebounding yesterday and today.
Holding foul underneath, and it's going to be called on Northern Iowa. It'll go against Sean Hawkins first. It'll put the Birds in the bonus. The first bonus at 6:59 remaining in the half.
Eldon is a fanatic about rebounding. Sam Scarich, one of the coaches, told me, you know, Sam, I recruited to come to Notre Dame and play many years ago, and he's been with Eldon for a lot of years. He said he is a fanatic about rebounding. Rebounding and defense are his things. He figures the shooting will take care of itself. The one inconsistency they've had when they've lost is rebounding. And they got it yesterday, and they're getting it so far today against a pretty good rebounding team.
Illinois State had gone 2.5 minutes without scoring before Hill pops in the free throw. Rico Hill splits the pairs. He misses the second. Hill 78% at the line for the Redbirds. Shoots him well for a big man. 19-14. The Panthers of Northern Iowa with a 5-point lead in the ball. Another fadeaway jumper. Sean Hawkins' second shot of that variety in this half.
Oh, boy. He's athletic and explosive. I told you, he's been their emotional spark plug all year long, and he's given a little bit of it to him right now.
Steve Hansel was the all-sixth man in the Missouri Valley Conference. Rico Hill from point-blank range.
They've been pretty good. They've been pretty effective at keeping Rico out of that spot and not letting them get the ball to him in there. That's the second time, and guess what? Rico's converted on both of them.
Illinois State's in a straight zone here with Daisy out of the game, Skip.
Staying in that zone.
Time for a deep break. Rico Hill with a gigantic big-time rebound. And Smiley throws it away. Jamar Smiley's had some huge assist games this year. 14 against Indiana State and a 22nd timeout for Northern Iowa. Called at 5:50 of the half. And 21-16 Northern Iowa. And what about Rico Hill starting to get his action?
That's why you have to be able to do it at both ends. That guy will probably be the preseason MVP for the conference next year because he can do it all. Scores at one end, comes down at the other end. Boy, I mean to tell you, this is how you rebound, pal. You get up there, watch, bang, one hand, he smothered that basketball. You know, the one thing that zone is doing, as I mentioned earlier, Mitch, it's not allowing that dribble penetration because I told you, Northern tries to drive it down your throat, but Northern also uses a lot of two-man game, and it's a quick-hitting two-man game, and they continually do it, and they're not able to do that also.
Big factor in the 2 wins by Northern Iowa this year in the regular season over Illinois State, rebounding. The Panthers won the rebounding war in normal 46-34, and then by 2 in Cedar Falls at 37-35. Right now, they lead as well in rebounding, 19-11.
See the help out as soon as Daisy put the ball on the floor. They started. Oh, what a rebound.
Sean Hawkins.
Oh, man. 2 Illinois State players were right there, Mitch. He just simply out-jumped both of them.
Smiley with the steal. The Birds trying to find numbers. They'll find Hansel in the corner, and the Brit knocks it home for 3. A native of the United Kingdom buries the 3, and they're within 2, the Redbirds are.
That's why he was the 6th man of the year in this conference, and he wasn't healthy for a while, but when he's healthy, they're a much better basketball team, and he gives them a lot of quickness.
Hansel called for the foul. Northern Iowa's been in the super bonus a long time. They went to the double bonus and have been there for 4 minutes, as Illinois State has been called for 12 team fouls. Daisy, 6 points. You can't get him to the line very often. He was 9 of 10 yesterday against Evansville. Jim 11 free throws made against Illinois State. Also against Texas A&M, Nebraska. Oral Roberts and Illinois State the first time. And a free throw down. DeVries back in. How does Illinois State adjust to not fouling, defending without fouling here?
Well, I'll tell you, that's why it's so tough to play against Northern, and they get to that foul line so much because they're always driving that ball right down your throat, Mitch. That's what I said to you.
Rico Hill, and they're going to call an offensive foul and wave off the basket, and now Kevin Stallings is really going to be hot.
Did you see it coming? Well, Kevin's not happy. Rico was even unhappier. He's not saying anything to Ira Carmen. Let's take a look. Well, if a defensive player has a right to maintain his position, Mitch, then you have to say, now obviously the people are booing because they've got the giant screen up above and they're seeing the replay on the screen, and I have to tell you, the place is filled with Illinois State fans.
Not far down the road, St. Louis. From the normal Bloomington area, plus the Illinois State alums in the St. Louis area.
Gosh, what a great pass. Whoa, that defense rotated. He didn't even see that man, Mitch. Darren DeVries just made one of the better passes you're ever going to see.
That's why he's one of the top 10 players in the league in assists. And the Panthers have opened up a 6-point lead. Rico Hill with 2 fouls. Smiley. And a blocking foul on Northern Iowa underneath.
The one thing I'm sensing, Mitch, I don't know whether you're going to agree with me. Maybe I'm going to surprise you by saying this. I almost sensed for a second right there that Illinois State was going to get out of control. You know, they haven't been behind by 6 points many times this year. When you only lose 5 games, only lose 4 in the conference, 2 of them to this team, they're not behind very much. And I can see, or at least I thought I sensed a bit of frustration on the faces of a few people because things just weren't working out the way they want them to work out. And boy, the point I'm trying to make is they better stay under control.
You know, early in the season, their only nemesis, and there wasn't many, their Achilles heel was turnovers. They lost the game at Duquesne to Scott Hedrick's team, turning it over 25 times. But they've really done a nice job of not turning it over in the last month or so. But you're right. They need to keep their composure right now.
Exactly. And, you know, you can understand why frustration can set in, because you think after losing twice, you know, that old can you beat them 3 times thing? You know, Eldon Miller answered that yesterday by saying, heck, they're hard beat 1 time, not 3 times.
25-21, Illinois State trailing by 4. The number 1 seed trailing the 4 seed to the press break bucket, push for 9 for Northern Iowa.
Is that nice execution or what? Usually you don't try to put the ball on the floor, but that time they had to, but they converted.
Smiley has it blocked by Hines. DeVries. Burdine. Smiley wants to come the other way, but loses the ball on the dribble. Daisy with the scoop. And a foul on Illinois State on Dan Muller. They're going to count the basket. It's the 3rd foul on Muller. Book a bucket for Jason Daisy. Now Dan Muller with 3 fouls. And Leroy Watkins with 3 fouls for Illinois State.
Well, I want to tell you something. Right now, everything is going in Northern's Iowa favor. And you know why it is? Boy, they're making things happen, Mitch. Every loose ball, rebounds, little things like that. Look at that. They are right in control of this basketball game right now, and they are taking it to Illinois State.
Illinois State thought they should have had a charging call on Daisy. Kevin Stallings has taken the coat off, folks. The coat is off, and Kevin Stallings is not very happy right now. Kevin Stallings staring at the officiating crew. We'll be back. Northern Iowa now. That Illinois State is spending their timeout. Jim, look at this.
Kevin Stallings called Ed Schumer over. Schumer warned him and told him to get back off the floor. And Kevin Stallings did not go to the huddle for the timeout. He stood the entire timeout with his arms folded, staring at Ed Schumer and John Higgins. And you know what? It isn't going to do any good, Mitch. Because he isn't going to intimidate the officials. You know what you're doing? You're looking for one down the line. You know, you build it, but you don't want to get it technical in the process, but you're looking for one somewhere between now and the end of the basketball game.
And there's a long road to go in this game. 3:29 remaining in the half. 30-21. Illinois State trailing by 9. Gibbons inside with the bucket. He'll go to the line. Rob Gibbons has 5 points in the first half for Illinois State.
Just wanted to comment that Rob Gibbons was back in the basketball game, and Watkins was on the bench. And that's what you get for standing around the basket, Mitch. He had no idea this ball was going to come his way. Look, it was a missed shot. The ball just happened to come down right at his feet. He picked it up, forced the contact, finished the shot, and he's got himself on the line.
And missed the free throw, given 65% at the line for the year. But Rob Gibbons giving some bonus duty here for Illinois State, and they need it trailing by 7.
They need a spark somewhere. Someone has got to turn on for them, Mitch, and they haven't found it now. They're trapping now on the. That's a good call right there. They're trapped right on the first. And nice recognition.
Tony Bruce finds
man.
Brian Hine, and that's the way to break a trap.
Boy, that is wonderful. Keep that ball off the floor. Keep your head up. Put the trap and look for the open man, and they found him.
We talked about composure, Jim. Rico Hill likes that spot just inside the arc. Rico Hill with 7. He had 2 big games this year against Northern Iowa, 21 in Normal, 25 in the Unidome.
Eric Harmon's got a foul on Tony Bruce. This game is getting physical, Mitch. I want to tell you, there is an awful lot of bumping and pushing and shoving going on, and we called this before this game ever started. You watch Bruce right here. Watch it. Look at that. Look at that.
Jim, that's a good call. We have an intentional foul called on it.
That could have been a flagrant foul right there. Is he still in the game? Yes,
Tony
he
Bruce is called for a intentional foul.
I didn't catch that. I heard the whistle and saw Eric Harmon walk over.
Now Rico Hill hit the bucket, Jim. If he can be hit both free throws, they will also get possession. It could be a 2-4-6. 7-point trip if they get a 3.
I tell you, that was a good replay, man, because you missed it here, but boy, you're right. At this stage of the game, with the score, what was it, 32-25 at the time, now they've got the ball out of bounds. And boy, they were looking for a kickstart, and maybe they've gotten it.
And a reminder to look for the champion player of the game at the end of today's telecast. Brought to you by Champion, one of our great corporate sponsors in the Missouri Valley Conference.
Well, you talk about a team that had the momentum. Had Illinois State back on its heels, had the crowd out of the game, had everything they're going their way, planting that little seed of doubt in the heads of the Illinois State players and coaches and everybody else. Boy, that is a costly exchange right there.
We talked about Illinois State keeping its composure. Now Northern Iowa must do the same, in particular Tony Bruce, who was called for a frustration-type foul underneath, and a good call by the official.
He's explaining to Eldon, said, you know, I know what he's saying. I got hit first, I got bumped, and I just retaliated, but I happened to get caught.
This could be a 6 or 7-point trip for Illinois State. They trail by 5.
You see how he's got Hill. He's got Hill posting up way too far away from the basket.
Smiley for 3, 7 points for Illinois State in that possession. Jamar Smiley at 17-3 of the year, shooting 36% beyond the arc. And in one possession, Jim, Illinois State took a 9-point deficit to 2.
I tell you, you talk about the play of the game, pal. If these things continue to go the way it's going for Illinois State right now, you may be looking at it.
Foul was called on Jason Daisy, and that is his second foul. Both teams are in the double bonus. We still have 2:14 remaining to play in the half, and Illinois State, if Skip Shafar can hit these shots, he will tie Eldon Miller's team.
Well, I'll tell you, what did I say? They were looking for a kickstart, and boy, they have found it. There's nothing like things like that, Mitch, that can just give you that confidence kick that you need. Because I'll tell you, Northern was playing so well.
Shafar can hit just 1 of 2, and Northern. Iowa has a 1-point lead at 32-31.
Let's see. This, you know what? This also tends to kickstart you on defense, right, Mitch? You get out there, play a little tougher, rebound a little harder.
And a reminder that the last time out, Kevin Stallings never talked to his team. A steal by Illinois State, and since the timeout, the Redbirds have been on a rampage. Shake Bauer for the lead.
So good.
And the board for Dime.
As soon as he let it go, you could tell, couldn't you, Mitch? He had the angle. He had the right idea. Boy, Daisy hasn't gotten many shots lately, Mitch. In a long time, he hasn't gotten many shots.
10 points for Daisy. Once this three-pointer, it's strong, and Shake Bauer with the board.
Jason, the last stat sheet I got, it only had 5 shots. But you know what? There is a guy that really lets the game come to him. I've watched him enough that I know he isn't going to force anything. That's a good kick-out by Smiley.
Smiley, a great penetrator inside. And a foul on Terry Kress of Northern Iowa reaching, and a foul on Kress is second. And Smiley will have 2 free throws.
That's Jamar Smiley. I mean, I am so impressed with him. You know, he leads the Valley in assists, and Kevin says, what a great competitor. He takes coaching. He's a leader. He's the emotional leader, the heart and soul. I know you hear that a lot of times, but if our viewers and if youngsters could watch that young man play, he just plays with such great intensity. And boy, has he been pushing that ball up the floor, hasn't he, Mitch? He pounds that ball when he dribbles it, but boy, has he been pounding that ball and forcing it up the floor. Pretty good. They're trying to get some fast break baskets, Mitch, but they haven't been able to get many. He's trying to get some kickouts to his people on the side, but they haven't been getting many of those either. Northern's done a pretty good job of playing defensive transition.
Smiley had his career high, Jim, or tied his career high, 16 against Northern Iowa on January 22nd, but misses both those free throws, allowing Northern Iowa to retain the lead with possession inside of a minute.
Northern Iowa's been shut down for a little while, I think, Mitch, haven't they? They've been stuck up there for a while on 32.
They had just a press break, too, when they broke Illinois State's press for an easy Brian Hying bucket.
Boy, good help and recover. Very good help and recover by Illinois State.
Daisy with the shot clock at single digits, misses, and Pearson with the board. Illinois State can again take the lead with this possession. And the shot clock is shut off at a 20-second timeout called by Kevin Stallings. Illinois State was down 30-21. And now they trail just 32-31. Kevin Stallings will talk to his team during this timeout.
He's feeling a little better about things right now.
What about the help and recover defense that you talk about?
Take a look now. See, he started to drive. Now watch the help. See, that's nice camera work. See Jamar Smiley? He distracted him just enough to Breeze that he knew he might get another player control foul. So he turned, kicked it back off. They burnt more time off the clock, and bing, good things happened for Illinois State.
Illinois State.
Oh, he put the ball down on the
play.
floor.
He's got a 5 count. They get in just in time.
Carmen put the ball down on the floor right in front of us because Illinois State didn't come out of the huddle. Whoa. Haven't seen that done this year.
No, and you know what? They got the ball in play.
Let's see if they wait. They're down to 10 already before they're getting into anything.
Rico Hill, one-on-one over Hines. Illinois State has the lead at the buzzer on the shot by Rico Hill. As Illinois State was down 9, but they will go to intermission with a 1-point lead. Their first lead of the game comes at the half on a buzzer beater by Rico Hill, one of the top sophomores in the country. And Illinois State has a lead 33-32. Jim, take a look at it.
One more look. You know, Mitch, I swear I would have bet you anything they weren't going to get a shot. But look at that nice move by him. I told you he is so tough down inside. That's not really inside. That's a good turnaround jumper right there.
As a result, the Illinois State fans will enjoy halftime. The number 1 seeded Redbirds looking for win number 23 have a 1-point lead at half.
Missouri Valley Conference by 1. They're leading with a chance to play tomorrow night in the championship game.
Stallings had a session where he didn't say a word, but he got his point across.
Well, he really did, Mitch. And you know the old saying, let a sleeping dog lie? Huh? Boy, I want to tell you something. It was unbelievable what happened. When they had that timeout, Kevin Stallings walked out on that floor. He went out there to see Ed Schumer, and he talked for about 10 seconds or so. And Ed Schumer, I assume, told him, you get back over on the sidelines. Don't you leave that coaching box. And then he stared at those 2 officials, Ed and John Higgins, for that whole timeout and let the assistant coaches handle everything after that. Then we go to the turning point in this basketball game. There's the shot right there. Now, and the ball come out of the bucket, then watch the possession right now. You're going to see down at the bottom of the screen. You keep watching. Watch the push-off right here. You're going to see it on Tony Bruce, where he's going to go ahead and push off and get the flagrant foul right there, the technical foul right there. And there was a 9-point turnaround, Mitch. A 10-2 run to end the first half by ISU.
In fact, Illinois State had a 7-point possession. They had a 2 free throws, and then a 3 by Smiley that made it 7 points in that possession. Now, what about the adjustments the teams have to make in the second half with 25 fouls called and the intensity of the game?
Well, I think that put Northern back on its heels. That gave the life to Illinois State that they were looking for, because honestly, I thought that it was a critical point in this basketball game, because Illinois State was starting to doubt themselves. At least I felt that way. Now Northern has to turn it around, and they've got to kickstart again to start the second half.
It's a 1-point lead for Illinois State. When we return, we'll take a look at what happened in the first half with our stats following these messages. Back at the Kiel Center at halftime, the Birds lead by the slimmest of margins. Let's take a look now at our stats brought to you by TWA, the official airlines of the Missouri Valley Conference, Jim.
Well, obviously, neither team's shooting well, and I said the best offense for both teams may be the ability to keep that basketball alive, especially when you're not shooting well. Look at the 3 points. 1 for 10, 4 for 10. There's a big difference there, right? You got 12 to 3. The free throws, remember I said Illinois State wasn't getting to the line early in the game at all? That turned itself around. The turnovers, those are lost chances right there, friends. And the ability is, well, a turnover is one thing. If you convert is another. They converted. Look at the second chance points right there. Steals 3 and 5.
26
And the
rebounds.
rebounding, 26 and 9 of them offensive for Northern. Those are second chance efforts.
And again, Northern Iowa out-rebounded Illinois State in the 2 regular season victories. ISU only 5 losses all year, 2 to this team, Northern Iowa. Smiley, great penetration to the cup, missing, but Watkins with the tip in. Leroy Watkins' first basket of the game comes 30 seconds into the second half.
That's a pretty good start. Pretty good action by Smiley, because, boy, he broke right through that gap right there, and he created every bit of that. Nobody got into Watkins' body. First 5 minutes, Mitch. Let's see what happens with both clubs. Look at him doubling up on Jason. Watkins chased him from the backside all the way from down in the forward slot.
DeVries saddled the foul trouble, as several players are in this game.
Well, DeVries hasn't been quite as aggressive since he got in foul trouble, hasn't he?
Eyeing forcing, but he has to, because 1 second on the shot clock and air ball.
That's 3 or 4.
3 shot clock violations in the game.
I'll tell you, that's pretty good defense when you can do that, especially against a team like Northern that, as I said, they're going to drive it down your throat.
Northern, however, shot 48% against Illinois State in the UNI Dome and 42% in normal.
Derek Harmon just came all the way over while Smiley was dribbling the basketball, took the whistle out of his mouth and said something to him. Oh, nice rebound.
Watkins had the tip in earlier and a second offensive board
and
for
how
Watkins.
smart. He is surrounded by 3 people, and instead of forcing, he brought the ball right back out.
Rico Hill with a left hand. He saw a gap in the defense and made it happen.
Pretty good way to get out of the starting gate for Illinois State, considering how they started the first half. Now Northern's got to regroup, right, Mitch?
Jim, both buckets were a result of offensive boards.
Right.
DeVries wants a 3 ball.
Interesting to see what happens if Northern doesn't score in the next couple of possessions. And if Illinois State does, you're going to get a 20 in a hurry by Eldon.
Illinois State.
Look at this.
Smiling a foul on Sean Hawkins of Northern Iowa. 3rd foul on Hawkins.
Hawkins had the right idea because he's a terrific shot blocker, but he's got a much smaller guy there, Mitch, and he didn't have to get body on him. Look at, if he would have come up just like that and kept the body off him, he not only blocked that thing, but he kept the ball in play, which is the secret of the successful great blockers. You can block it, but to keep it in play is spectacular.
Many times when you look at runs, you don't wrap them around the half. Well, if you wrap it around the half, Jim, Illinois State has scored the last 14 points in this game.
That's critical. That's absolutely critical. There's Jamar Smiley making 1 or 2 right there, and the point I was going to make is he's the point man. He's going to have that basketball at the end of the game. He's been at the line 110 times. That guy has got to convert.
He's just a 60% shooter for the year at the line.
Hasn't been very successful.
And in this game, just 3 of 6. He had missed 3 in a row before hitting that last attempt. But a 6-point lead for the Birds nonetheless. Smiley nearly stole it. The ball stays in play remarkably all the way at the other end, but now rolling out of bounds is Smiley.
Now, is that desire and hustle? Huh? He was all the way on the ground at one end of the floor. DeVries was going to let the ball roll till he had a chance to pick it up. Smiley got up and went all the way down there and got to that ball before DeVries did.
How did this ball stay in play all this time?
I don't know. Look at this now, right there. Oh, man.
You know the little bumper pads they put in the bowling alley? You don't have to get gutter balls?
Look at the double up on the underneath people. Boy, that's another one, Bill.
4 shot clock violations on Northern Iowa. And that has Eldon Miller concerned. But Kevin Stallings, Redbirds' defensive effort have taken 4 possessions away from Northern Iowa without an attempt.
And what did it was when they put the ball in down low and they double up, Watkins came over and doubled, and the player that had the ball had his back to the floor. He had the end line as another defender, and that's what burnt the time off the clock.
Northern Iowa has not scored in 6 minutes when you wrap the game around the half. They missed their last 5 shots. Smiley. Nearly stripped by Daisy. Schaefer just inside the line. Chased down by Rico Hill. And there must have been some discussion at halftime about Illinois State's rebounding, Jim.
You know what's happening? Illinois State's doing everything to Northern that Northern did to Illinois State in the first half. They're getting every rebound, they're getting every loose ball, and they're converting.
Rico Hill converts. He has 15 in the game.
Eldon's getting it. Just what I said, Mitch. There it is, the 20.
22nd timeout for Northern Iowa. Illinois State leads by 8, 40-32. The dry spell for Northern Iowa goes all the way back to 3 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the first half.
Watch that big guy come out. Look at that. He can put the ball on the floor. Boy, that's not bad. There are standstill shooters, and there are guys that can put it on the floor. But you're looking at a guy right there, Rico Hill, that's 6'6" and about 225 or 230. Put that thing on the floor like that. That's why I said, boy, you're talking about a marquee player.
Let's take a look at Northern Iowa's last 7 possessions. 2 points, 1 of 4, and 4 turnovers. 4 turnovers in 7 possessions, and 2 of those 4 have been shot clock violations on the Panthers.
Well, their defense is pushing Northern out of his comfort zone, Mitch. They've got Northern back on its heels on offense. Look at this. Look at this.
Diving Watkins out of bounds to the Panthers.
Now Northern has got to regroup, and they've got to try to get some of that dribble penetration going, and they've got to start creating some things.
Schaefer on Daisy.
Nice hands. Nice hands. Watch him double on him now.
Hands by Muller. Even better hands by Muller, Jim, to deflect the pass.
Wow, what a great move.
Inside. Not there on the try by Rico Hill. Daisy has been quiet of late. Yet to score in the second half and a bump. And this will go against Schaefer of Illinois State.
Had the right idea, Skip did, but not the kind of effort he wanted. And you know why? If he did, oh, he's hurt too. He's hurt. He is. He's got a cramp, I think.
Cramping up.
He's got a cramp, I think. I hope that's all it is.
He said he's cramping up. He could read his lips.
And look at how smart. Who was that that's helping him? Huh? That was Dan Muller went over.
Well, as we go to break, it's Arch Madness, folks, and just take a look. Iowa 40-32 with 15:42 remaining in the game at one time. Illinois State trailed by 9, and since this point, the game has turned around big time. 17-0 since the tee on Northern Iowa's Bruce, which came not long after the Stallings spare.
Northern Mitch has got to have somebody else turn on in the rest of the second half, because Daisy isn't doing it now. He's not getting a lot of of good looks at the basket, not getting a lot of touches, but nobody else is converting for them, and that is really hurting them. DeVries did it yesterday. He hasn't gotten much today.
Just 4 points, and all of those early in the game. Daisy against Muller. Great slash, but Daisy can't convert. Rico Hill with a walk-off. And Illinois State's doing this with a semblance of foul trouble. Muller and Watkins both with 3. Muller couldn't get it to go down. And there's a pushing foul underneath on Northern Iowa. Tony Bruce called for the foul, his second, the second team foul, second half. Not nearly as many fouls being called right now, Jim. I think the two teams have adjusted.
I think you're absolutely right about it.
This is Daisy, just lightning fast. He sets a world speed record. All the way to the other end and gets a bucket plus 1.
Well, that's what they're going to have because that guy has taken, let me look here, Mitch, 405 shots coming into this game. That's almost 20-some shots a game, and he had only 8 shots up until this point back. That's not good transition defense right there by Illinois State, but that's the kind of a kickstart that Northern needs right now, and maybe he's going to give it to him.
A drought of 7 minutes and 51 seconds into the bucket by Jason Daisy, but he misses the free throw. 4 of 6 at the line is Daisy. This is Gibbons. He had the points in the first half, couldn't get that shot down. 6-point lead for Illinois State. 3 seconds under 15 minutes remaining in the game. Verdine against the double team.
Look at the kick out. I pointed right to you, didn't I, Mitch? He gets right down the middle of that floor and looks for that kick out.
We're going to have a drag race between Smiley and Daisy. Put the Christmas tree out there, get the parachutes out. Great move inside. Rico Hill, Jim, is turning into a score deluxe.
Well, listen, I told you he wasn't getting many touches in the first half. He has 17 points now, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
He does, and that was his 13th shot. He's made himself active.
Birds by 8. This is Bruce for the 3 ball. It crawls out and Smiley with the hustle.
You know what happens with teams that have a player like Daisy? You know, I think they stand around when he's not scoring, Mitch. And that's what happens, and that's what a lot of Northern players are doing.
As Rico Hill pops it home again. Jim, he has become so comfortable at stepping out and shooting from 15 to 17 feet.
See if he's going to get a time. See if Eldon's going to get a time. 20 again?
Yep, Eldon wants a 20-second timeout. Illinois State has turned this game around 180 degrees. It's about 5 minutes left to go in the first half. They were down 9 at one point. Now they lead by 10. And Rico Hill is leading the charge.
What did I say? Teddy Mossville was telling us that that young man has come out on the floor and he has made himself into a pretty good jump shooter. And again, did you notice, Mitch, off the dribble? And he feels comfortable doing that. And he's got some good spring, but boy, doesn't he have a nice touch. And you know, I know people probably say, my God, why are you doing that to the young man? Trying to compare him to a Mark Aguirre who played at DePaul and was so great. But you know, he kind of even has the looks of Mark Aguirre. He's got that baby face, and boy, what a nice young man.
19 points, 5 boards for Rico Hill, averaging 18 and 8 in those categories. And now Daisy with a easy layup.
One of the few times that they've been able to do that. A double screen they put on, and they didn't make the bump, and they didn't make the switch.
And credit Eldon Miller for a nice set play out of the 20.
Nice call, Mitch. Exactly right. They got the ball to the guy they have to get it to.
Three. Who's trying to isolate Verdine? Terrific defense by Watkins. Bruce wants the 3. Muller tried to defend it and did so. Safe foul. At the boards, Illinois State Birds lead by 8 at 13 minutes remaining in the game. Rico Hill with another good look, but can't get it to fall.
Three-guard offense in for Northern again. Daisy, DeVries, Bruce, smaller lineup, but a quicker lineup. That's the guy that's going to be in there. When they go to that smaller lineup, they're going to have Verdine in there.
Given the first half, we saw Hawkins get a couple buckets, and Northern Iowa was able to do some things inside. But that's where Illinois State has really shut them down.
They have.
Schaefer with an open 3, count it. Skip Schaefer, his 79-3 of the season.
If he gets hot, Mitch, Northern's in trouble because, boy, when they start scoring outside and they score inside the way Hill is, then that is a tough team to defend. I stopped because I was anxious to see if John Higgins was going to call a foul on Darren DeVries because they had body contact, and that's the reason that Watkins fell out of bounds.
Take a look at
and you'll see what. Look at the contact up over the back right there. Watch the contact. See what happens there. See, I just didn't know. Ooh, almost an ankle, but I just didn't know. And that's probably a good no call.
A lot of incidental contact there. But the Northern inside players, we talked about the Panthers inside depth. Really, in the last several minutes of the game, not a factor. Daisy Forson trying to get his own board. Schaefer killed inside. Well, on Schaefer is going to be his second.
Do you sense something that I'm sensing right now? I sense that Jason Daisy has said to himself, I've got to start taking over this basketball game. There's only 12 minutes left. We've got our backs to the wall right now, and nobody else is doing it. I think people are standing around. He is playing a lot of one-on-one basketball right now, and he's going to do some things that he generally doesn't do. He usually lets the game come to him. He's going to take the game right now. That's my prediction.
And Jim, what he did, yes, I do. And what he generally does not do is miss free throws. But he's been to the line 8 times and hit just 5 of 8. This kid is 80% at the line. As I mentioned earlier, has had 11 makes in about 5 games this year. Watkins with the turnaround with the left hand.
That's gravy when they get that. That's icing on the cake when they get Leroy down in that low. He's got that nice little baby hook on the left with the left hand. Look at, they're going to double up more on Daisy. Look, see, that's exactly what they're doing. And what did I tell you? He's going to take that ball and shoot it every chance he gets.
Ansel trying to force the action. The Redbirds lead by 10, 49-39, and 11:40 remaining in the game.
I didn't even look that time to see if Illinois State went into a box and won again, Mitch, did they?
Not sure they did or not, but what they're doing is still running 2 and 3 people.
You bet. You every time. I'll tell you one thing. They may not know where everybody else is, but they're going to shake Bauer's got him.
He's face guarding. In a legal way, face guarding.
Here he comes off a big pick by DeVries.
Bruce is in trouble, double team. DeVries has not been able to get off the mark. Good block off on a miss by DeVries, but Watkins stepped out of bounds.
Boy, that's too bad. Gibbons and was it Watkins? Both of them right there for a rebound. One bumped the other. Didn't have a chance to get it. Look at this.
All right, let's hose things down here a little bit. 11:05
nice
remaining in the game. 10-point lead for Illinois State. That National Car Rental sponsors the Missouri Valley Conference. Huge run for Illinois State.
Well, I think at the last count, 26-7, if you can believe it, Mitch. Boy, I am watching Daisy. Not a lot of other stuff that I'm watching, and now Cartmill is right up in his numbers. They've switched off Schaefer, because Schaefer's out. Cartmill has him now.
Press playing the lead guard position for Northern Iowa. DeVries setting down at the moment.
One thing is Northern's, but they're burning a lot of time off the clock on each possession, Mitch, so they better convert when they have a chance.
Daisy missing the pull-up. Foul is finally underneath, hacking. Corey Jenkins. You know, we saw Northern Iowa really dominate in the first half rebounding-wise, but look at the flip-flop in the second half.
Right. 36-26 or 27 right now on rebounding. Look at the second half, 16-11.
Non-shooting foul, so Northern will put it in play, trailing by 10. There have been 4 shot clock violations on Northern Iowa and a repeat foul on Cartmill. His third, his team's 5th. Kevin Stallings, Eldon Miller trying to get shots for Daisy, while Kevin Stallings is rotating people and fouls and burning up
Daisy. Not a good foul by Cartmill right there, not being critical. Daisy had his back to the basket, was toward the sideline. Cartmill could have used the sideline instead of reaching in. He should have just gotten a hand up with an overplay and realized he was going to get some help on a back door.
A little bit of a wasted dribble by Daisy, but rescued by Pratt.
They are burning a lot of time, aren't they, Mitch, on each possession? Burning time off that clock.
If they run somebody out, and they do, and that leaves Hawkins open for the double flush here in St. Louis.
Okay, this game isn't over yet. This may be a last possession game.
Midway through the second half, and a hold on Crest at Northern Iowa, chasing Smiley through the lane. Third foul on Crest, but good recognition, 20/20 court vision for the Panthers.
You bet. Watch him Look at, he drove. Look at the 3 people came over on the rotation, and he found the person he had to find to get him open for the lay-in.
Smiley. Nice skip to Cartmill. It was big yesterday. Wow! Rico Hill with the follow. 21 points for Rico Hill.
You know who put the screen on outside, Mitch? That was Rico Hill that put the screen on. He put the screen and left him, went to that basket. I watched every bit of that. That was spectacular.
Rico for president, at least, but mayor of Normal, Illinois. Bruce out of control. We get a technical foul.
Did they get a technical? No.
Sean Hawkins on the rim.
They've got it.
Sean Hawkins hung on the rim and a technical foul on Northern Iowa.
Yep, Eldon isn't happy about it, but they got him. He hung right there.
Let's take a look at Rico
See
Hill.
if we can see if they've got it all the way back. He's gonna watch. He's gonna put a pick on right here. There it is. There he is. Look at where he is. Watch him go to that glass. Holy cow! That is really spectacular. That's a marvelous replay, and that's a great reaction to the offensive glass. Now, tell me how many people would put a screen on like that and stand there and not stand there.
That's why he's elevated his game. Hawkins called for the. He also gets, since it's a technical foul, he gets the technical and the personal. He has 4. Rico Hill hits one and misses one. 22 for Rico Hill. His career high earlier this year, 37 against Southwest Missouri State.
And the ball back, Mitch.
Ansel, this is Hill once again, and Northern Iowa can't stop him. Laffey fouling for Northern Iowa.
You watch this. You watch why what you just said is so true. He is about to get this shot blocked. I want our viewers to watch this. Watch what he does with his body. He's going to make the shot. Look at, he's going to get it blocked. Did you see him pull that thing away so he could get a better angle of that glass, hang right there, then go to release it? Again, forcing the contact and at least finishing the shot so that he knows he's going to the line for 2 free throws.
How much of that, Jim, is taught? How much of it is instinct?
I think a lot of that is instinct, Mitch. Now, if I were coaching him, I'd say I taught him that. You know darn well I would. You know,
yeah.
I coached Carl Yastrzemski when he was playing at Notre Dame. He made it to the pros. You know, everybody in the world was making it to the Hall of Fame. Kept calling me and asking me if I knew when he was a freshman at Notre Dame that he was going to make it to the Hall of Fame. I said, you bet I did.
You know, when he was here in the 67 series against the Cardinals, that was in my mind. I thought, Jim Gibbons coached him. Cartmill with an open 3. Illinois State has been much more active on the board. Laffey gets it to Daisy and a reach on Gibbons. Second foul on Gibbons. Team foul number 6 on the Bird.
That's a pretty good job by Rob Gibbons, and that's exactly what Tom Richardson got up when Gibbons looked over. Tom Richardson said to him, nice job. Now he's talking to John. Look at, he's smiling, talking to John Higgins. Now that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that.
We're still trying to trace the bloodlines to see if you and he are indeed related. Although he's from Rockaway, New Jersey.
I may have the record for the most fouls at Notre Dame, so he's got that in his bloodlines.
You know, it's interesting. The story on Gibbons is Eldon Miller trying to get his team back in the game. His team trails Illinois State by 12 right now. But Rob Gibbons, Rockaway, New Jersey. Bob Hurley Sr. was the guy that helped get Rob Gibbons to Illinois State.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
He got a lot of good basketball players, a lot of places,
including some of his own family. Bobby and Danny at his dinner table and also shooting free throws and scoring. Schaefer, great overplay, headed by Luke for the Panthers. And Schaefer goes into the Northern Iowa band. And the ISU fans show their appreciation.
And I don't care which team you're cheering for right now and what team you're backing, you've got to cheer something like that. That's what college basketball is all about, and that's what tournament play is all about.
We're done with the jumper. Daisy with the board and an air ball. Tony Bruce. Tony Bruce just ripped it away from 2 Redbirds and gets the score.
I tell you, he's on your team.
He's got to get there. He's going to play to the buzzer in this game, too, I'll guarantee. 10-point lead for the Birds. Cardinal, nice feed to Rico Hill. Rico Hill off the window.
They're finding Rico down inside right now. They weren't doing that in the first half. I don't know what adjustments have been made, but when you get that guy the ball down there, that's why I said in the stand-up, Mitch, one player is not going to guard Rico Hill down on that block that low.
Rico has had 12 of the last 15 Illinois State points.
Old Ray Meyer, God love him, used to say, don't give anybody the block down that low. Once he's down that low, make sure he doesn't get the ball. Oh, Rico.
Rico trying to reach out and double and give a little knee to Tony Bruce, and Rico Hill has his third foul.
Rico shouldn't try to play man-to-man defense that far out on the floor.
How to get the guard. But let me say this, Jim. Leroy Watkins at halftime for Illinois State had 3 fouls. So did Dan Moore. Right now, they both still have 3 fouls.
Right.
So they've done a good job without fouling in the second half, and Rico Hill has been the man. 25 points for Illinois State right now. 12-point lead for Illinois State. Tony Bruce with a 1-and-1 and left it way short. Northern Iowa has not free-throwed well in this game. Schaefer with a deep three. Foul on the board. No, this is going to go against Christopher Dine of Northern Iowa.
No, Hine put up his hand now. I don't know.
Yeah,
25, you are. Sorry, Mitch.
You're right, Jim.
I just wanted to make sure. I thought the same as you did.
We're going to step aside. 10 seconds under 8 minutes remaining in the game. So around the curve and down the stretch we go. But Rico Hill, you can bet, will be driving the Redbird bus down the rest of the way. But also, they're named to be on the board on Selection Sunday. The winner of this tournament not only gets this trophy, but the automatic qualifier out of the 90-year-old Missouri Valley Conference, the second oldest league in America. Illinois State, the #1 seed right now, leads by a dozen. You take a look at Sean Hawkins. Take a look at the numbers. Northern Iowa shooting for the season. And in the quarterfinals, what they shot, and today, and you can thank the Illinois State defense for that, Jim. And a reminder, to look for the Rawlings play of the game later in today's telecast. Should be a winning shot, big rebound, key defensive move. We'll show it to you on the Rawlings play of the game.
Rico Hill has got himself 25 points. He is 10 of 18, 5 of 8 at the line.
He has hit 16 of the last 24 points for Illinois State.
Jamar Smiley looking over at John Higgins saying, hey, he got me.
And how about the run Illinois State has been on, Jim, since UNI led 30-21?
34-13. Man, we knew it was up there, Mitch, because they really had the momentum in this game. Nice double up on Daisy right there.
And only the second three-point make of the game for Northern Iowa, the first for Darren DeVries, who had 3 of 4 beyond the arc yesterday against Evansville.
And mark my words, that's what Northern is going to have to do to get back in this basketball game. Somebody like DeVries or Bruce, and they're going to have to step up and start converting.
Muller with the turnover.
I'm telling you, Illinois State better get a stop. They better get a stop a few times, because if Northern gets going again, I'll tell you, this is going to be a last possession game. Look at that.
Number 9 with the easy 2 from the assist. From DeVries.
And Kevin's getting a 20 right now. That's a good 2-possession sequence for Northern Iowa.
And the first time, Jim, that I could remember them scoring back-to-back since their 30-21 lead.
Look at that's the dribble penetration. We talked about that in the stand-up. There it is. Illinois State converted on it. The nice bounce pass, the drop in right there. That is pretty good execution right there.
And Eldon Miller knew that he needed the three-pointer by Darren DeVries, as UNI shot the ball very well beyond the arch in the regular season. Eldon Miller, in fact, Darren DeVries was 5 of 12 from three-point range during the regular season, but today only 2 knocked down by Northern Iowa. Remaining in the game, 55-48. The Redbird lead has been sliced to 7.
Amazing. I keep watching Daisy. He's still on Smiley, and boy, he has done. Look at where Rico Hill is now. Holy cow.
Jimmy loves that.
Wow. He is now 11 for 19. That's 27 points for him, Mitch.
We saw it yesterday, knocking down shots from that 15 to 17-foot range. Just inside the three-point line is Rico territory.
11 points was the first half at the end of the first half.
That's 16 in the second half. fourth. And another deep three for DeVries. They're still in it.
Now you got to start extending a little. You know what? That's going to open up Jason Daisy a little bit more also.
And the lead quickly to 6 as Illinois State trades 2 for 3.
Look where they're putting Rico. That's a pretty good move on Kevin Stallings' part. He's getting him outside, and they're going to bring Hine out to try to guard him, and they're going to let Smiley do a little more driving like that.
And a great walk-off and board for Burdine. Northern Iowa is not done, Jim. Hine against Rico Hill.
Good defense by Rico. Did you see him beat him to that spot?
DeVries out of control, finds Burdine, and a foul on Gibbons.
Not a bad foul. Not a bad foul, because Burdine was going to get another clip shot right there and another lay-in, but Gibbons stopped him. Nice dribble penetration, and that's what's been missing for a long time on Northern's part. I said they will push that ball down your throat constantly. And that's the last 2 possessions, or at least close to that, they've gotten that.
Let me tell you something, Jim. UNI, prior to the bucket by Rico Hill, had scored back-to-back.
Right.
They had not scored back-to-back since 4 minutes remaining in the first half.
That's Northern you're talking about.
Not Northern, yeah. Illinois State had held them from back-to-back buckets through this entire half and 4 minutes deep into the first half.
Well, that's what you call stepping it up on the defensive end. Now, here's Burdine, only a 57% free throw shooter. Just can't. One of the two.
Burdine, a great story on him. Gang member in the streets of Wichita and has turned his life completely around.
Now a nice switch. Nice roll.
Lob, Smiley to Hill.
The set play.
And a technical foul has been called here. A technical foul has been called by Ed Schumer, I believe, on Rico Hill. It's on Rico Hill. He may have been taunted. Let's take a look.
That's what Ed Schumer just said. It had nothing to do with hanging on the rim, I don't think. Hold on. Let's take now. Let's watch after. Watch after. Keep it going. Let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens here. I think it may have been when he first came down, Greg, because he turns towards the Northern player that's standing on the left-hand side down here.
We'll get a better look at it here.
Watch now. See if he turns backwards. Oh, right there it was. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
It'll be DeVries to shoot 2 technical. Free throw down for DeVries.
You wouldn't think anybody would say that may be a payback to the stare, would you?
Well, you never quite know,
You don't. You really can't tell.
But the dunk by Rico Hill, taken out with the free throws.
Let's see
by
now.
DeVries.
Let's see if they can convert the same way that Illinois State converted earlier. Eldon Miller with his finger up saying a 1. There's Daisy, and they did.
Daisy hits the shot. Jason Daisy with the shot, and it's a 3-point game right now. Illinois State up 3.
And presses now. Daisy is not on Smiley. Presses in. That's a good change. Save those legs for Smiley, or for Daisy down the stretch.
And a double dribble turnover on Dan Muller of Illinois State.
I'm telling you, Northern has turned it up a notch or two. Not because things are going well for them, but they're playing a little bit now like they were playing early in the basketball game. And now Illinois State has to regroup. Boy, that's what's terrific about this game. It has been terrific from start to finish.
Fresh, Panthers down 3. They trailed 1 point by 12 and led by 9 at one point.
Now, Hansel is on Daisy. That's about the 34th player they've had on him. Steve Hansel, great quickness, good defender, right there.
Again, Hansel considered the 6th man of the year off the bench.
Good
A 3 for Kress. Not there, but he's going to get 3 shots as Dan Muller fouls him. Dan Muller bumped Kress after the 3. 4 fouls on Dan Muller and 3 free throws for Terry Kress.
Pretty tough on Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row, but we saw it. If you didn't see it, you heard it, because he went right down in the corner, and you sensed it was coming, didn't you, Mitch?
I sure did. And Terry Kress has only shot 6 free throws all year in 27 games. He's going to get 3 free throws here.
Well, he's 4 of 6. But I'll tell you, I told you yesterday after I watched him play again, he did some nice things yesterday. I think he can shoot, he can defend, he's not flashy. Boy, I think this guy is going to be a quality basketball player for Eldon Miller.
Press can tie the game if he hits his third free throw with 4:07 remaining.
Did I say something about a last possession in this game?
When he hits his 2 of the 3, Enrico Hill commands the board for Illinois State. 4 minutes remain.
Now, Mitch, you're down to the team that's going to not turn the ball over. You're down to the team that's going to hit their free throws and does the rebounding. You're down to that kind of a game for the last 4 minutes.
Hansen with the open shot and the rebound to Bruce, and now Northern Iowa can take the lead.
Obviously, you've got to shoot well, but those other things are really critical. The turnovers and the free throws especially.
Press. Verdine isolated.
Nice help and recover. Nice help and recover by Hansel.
Daisy. And a reaching foul on Hansel of Illinois State. Third foul on Hansel. Northern Iowa has been in the bonus. Now they're in the double bonus.
Watch Hansel. Watch the drive now. See him? Watch him fall right back. And bam, he stopped his dribble. As soon as he stopped his dribble, came right back out. Did he travel?
No, he didn't.
Did? Okay.
I'd say it was a good call.
Oh, okay.
He kept the right foot as his pivot, and the left foot stuttered. That's what fooled the crowd.
Good.
Daisy is struggling with the line, Jim. He's been there 9 times and hit just 5.
He's an 80% free throw shooter. Guess how many he's had going in? 208 free throws.
Free throw is down by Daisy. He has 18. And the Northern Iowa Panthers. And Bert Laffey trying to fire his teammates up. This game is now tied. 59 apiece. 3:26 remains in the game. Illinois State with a 1:20 and 2 full left. The possession arrow is Northern Iowa. It's now in the bonus. Illinois State is not yet in the bonus. Northern Iowa is in the double bonus.
You don't think a team could play 3 overtimes in one season, do you? Huh?
If they could, these two might be.
Well, you're looking at it right now with only 3 minutes to go. Boy, this is terrific. This is terrific.
Arch Madness at the keel.
Tony Bruce was guarding Rico Hill, if you can believe it. Now the Breeze is.
He's on the Marine team now. He jumped on a hand grenade.
Boy, I want to tell you, that was a nice entry pass, and they didn't move to meet the ball, and Bruce got his hand in, and he was responsible for that.
And a reach on Skip Schaefbauer of Illinois State. Kevin Stallings did not like the call, nor did Schaefbauer. But you know what is an excellent point at the other end? Rico Hill had his man sealed.
Both teams shooting only 39%, Mitch. The free throw line, look at 16 of 24 for Northern Iowa. And rebounds, 43 for Northern, 32 for Illinois State.
Daisy with 19 points, but he's been to the line 11 times and hit 7 of the 11. 3 of the last 4, now 4 of the last 5. Northern Iowa has the lead, 61-59 and 2:50 left in the game.
Look at Bruce is guarding Rico Hill down on the post. I can't believe it.
Hill wants him one-on-one, but can't get the bank. Daisy with the board. Will he attack on Smiley and Muller?
He's going to attack, believe me, but he lost it.
Great defense by Smiley and Muller. Eldon Miller wanted a foul, and now a foul on Darren DeVries of Northern Iowa. Eldon Miller doing the Texas two-step with the Northern Iowa two-step on the far sideline. Thought there should have been a foul.
They better get him back in that box. He stepped out of that coaching box, and John Higgins told him to get back in it. But the whole bench just really went up in unison right there. Boy, there's some body contact right there, Rich, right?
Yeah, but it's also the best defender in the valley on him, in Dan Muller, in back-to-back years. Birds down 2, Schaefbauer with the runner. Muller with the great board, and Bruce was hanging on to him. And Dan Muller over talking to John Higgins right now. He got popped in the nose.
Boy, he did. And Tony Bruce, he just grabbed him just when he was going to go up for that thing. He just grabbed right onto him. I don't know. Just keep the camera on it, boy. We'll see. Watch it. See if we can get it right down here.
It was high.
Was it
Brian
high?
Hying was tripping on that jersey.
You're right. Oh, my boy. Tony, I hope you'll forgive me for that.
Muller with the free throw down. Dan Muller just 7 points in the game, Jim. The average is 11.
Yeah, but you know, there are so many things. I've said it 100 times, boy. You don't have to score. If you can play defense the way he does, if you can rebound the way he does, set screens, do all the other kinds of things, that's what it's all about. That's why it's a team game.
It's also about free throws. He shoots 81%, top 10 in the Missouri Valley. Game tied at 21 with 2 minutes left. Game tied at 61 with 2 minutes remaining. Now a steal, Smiley with it. Illinois State has the lead. 63-61 Redbirds.
Got to take your time, Mitch, and break the defense down. You really have to take your time right here and not panic.
DeVries forcing. Rico Hill loses it. Hying connect. Ties the game on the roll. Brian Hying with the stick back. (63-63), a minute 15 left.
Who's guarding Rico Hill? Do you believe it?
They got to try to post him up.
Tony Bruce is guarding him. I mean, that's a colossal mismatch if they can get it into him.
Smiley with 2 giant plays here back-to-back for Illinois State.
He got to look, Mitch, because they were worrying so much about Rico, and that Eldon wants a timeout.
Inside of a minute now, 51 seconds remain. It's a full timeout. Illinois State, the #1 seed, looking for its 23rd win and trying to get to the finals, leads by 2. Scoring. Northern Iowa had the advantage in the regular season.
For the 3rd time, Mitch. Now listen, let's remember a lot of things about the end of the game strategy. A lot of coaches will rely on judgment, on execution and principles, rather than running a set play that may backfire. That's one element. Remember the last game we had? It was a game like this. Most games that are close at the end are won or lost on second efforts, tip-in shots. Let's see what happens here.
And look at the close decisions. Northern Iowa 3-2 in games 5 points or less. Illinois State has won 3 of 4. In similar fashion. The loss was to Bradley. Out of bounds, last touch. Wait a minute, it's going to change the call.
No.
Ed Schumer is going to have the call changed by John Higgins, and Northern Iowa will keep it. Let's take a look.
Nice drive by Bruce. I was concerned that he was going to get a player control right there, but he didn't. Let's see. Did we see it?
It's a good call.
Good call. Nice going to John Higgins. They got it. Look at this.
Gacy for the lead. 2 strong rebound, Hansen. Now Northern Iowa has to foul, and they will foul Steve Hansel. Hansel, 77%
you
of the
got
line.
it, Mitch. Same thing I looked for. 24 of 31 at the line. What did I say? Turnovers, free throws. Obviously, you have to shoot well. Everybody understands that. But this is where you've got to salt the game away right here. You've got to put it away. Because now they're going to come down. What have we got? 65. It's going to be a 4-point game, right, Mitch? If he makes the 2.
If he can hit both.
If he makes the 1, then you've got to be careful, and you've got to switch everything on the 3-point shot. You've got to switch, and don't worry about the drive then.
Hansel drains the free throw.
Boy, that's a big one. That is
Steve
a big one.
Trying to make a positive memory in this building. He broke a bone in his right foot in this building against DePaul on December the 4th, and was out for 37 days. So trying to erase the memory of the injury, does so with 2 free throws.
That was, I mean, did you see the release on, here we go.
DeVries. Northern, a 3 from DeVries. Short for Don, trying to chase it. It's out of bounds to Northern Iowa, last touch by the Redbirds. 4-point lead for Illinois State at 17.4 seconds.
Too late to go for the 2 and then try to foul and get them to shoot free throws, Mitch. I think they got to get it up there now. There it is.
Tries the runner and has the bucket. Timeout, Northern Iowa. That's their last timeout.
That's it.
DeVries has 14 points, but Illinois State will take a 2-point lead to the break, and we'll just repeat the sequence with 13 seconds left in the game. Lead needs to get the ball in play first.
Here's where you're going to try to get the 5-second count, Mitch, number 1. Number 2, if you're going to try to get a player control foul, that's number 2. Third, you got to foul. If they get that in, you have to foul right now. That's exactly what you've got to do.
They fouled Dan Muller at the line for the game. Muller 2 of 2.
Not many ticks off that clock, right?
Nope, and he's 81% for the year. Tied for 7th in the Missouri Valley Conference at the foul line. He will have still 1-1 here. It's still 1 foul from the double bonus for Illinois State.
I sometimes wonder if people, fans, viewers, understand the enormous pressure on a young man like that walking up there. Isn't that the truth, really? I mean, a chance to get to the championship game, a chance to get to the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's sitting right here. He makes these two, they might have this basketball game.
One is down. Muller is not even double figures. He only has 9, but 3 major free throws here for the Redbirds. There it is. 4-point lead for
Now
Illinois
see if they
State.
put a little, yeah, they're going to put the pressure right on him, Mitch. Good call, right on him. Now you better not foul, I can tell you that.
DeVries wants the quick 2. Misses the shot. Clock at 6 seconds. Daisy on the follow. They're out of timeouts. Out of bounds. Statemeyer throws it into the other end. And Illinois State has won the game, and the Redbirds are headed to the finals of the Missouri Valley Conference tournament as Skip Shafar flies out of bounds into media row, and his teammates trying to rescue him. Illinois State wins it 69-65.
Unbelievable finish, Mitch. That's what college basketball is all about. And you and I talked the entire year about coming to this tournament. We said it was going to be just like this, and it has been.
And credit to Eldon Miller and his Northern Iowa Panthers. A great season, a great year. The coach of the year, Eldon Miller, now waits for an NIT bid perhaps for Northern Iowa, while Illinois State is headed for the championship game against the winner. Let's take a look at our Rawlings play of the game. This is huge. A steal by Jamar Smiley.
You called it, Mitch, right. Watch the hands, boy, there. And now watch. Not only the steal, but look at right between 2 defenders. He wasn't distracted, and he converted it.
And took a tie game to a +2 for Illinois State. And our play of the game, Rico Hill, 29 points for the Illinois State Redbird, 7 rebounds, 12 at 21 from the field. And the Missouri Valley Conference has had an outstanding season, Jim. I've loved every minute with you.
Thank you, Mitch.
It's been a great year. For Jim Gibbons.